Good morning. Good morning. Alrighty, we're gonna get started here. Well, in just a little bit. But yeah, I'm assuming it'll be probably a pretty decent day overall. Sometimes I honestly start the stream and have absolutely no clue what I'm even saying. I mean, like, I get what I'm saying, but it's just like, what is the intro even supposed to be? Yeah, so like we said, Bitcoin gonna go down to like 58,000 here pretty soon, I'd imagine. Stock market is still in a selling operation, selling algorithm, bearish trend, as it relates to the time frames that at least we focus on. But yeah, so we'll cover it all today as we normally do. Try to map out the price action for everyone as best we can, and then really just go from there. Actually, bring up something else. It's not what I'm looking for. Good morning, one person, whoever you may be. Good morning. Yeah, we'll get started here in just a second. I was looking for this page, but I just don't understand where it's gone. All right, there we are. Got it. That's what I wanted. Perfect. Okay. Good morning, Josh. How are you? Good morning. Yeah, so like I said, we'll cover a bunch of things, but yep. So currently, as it states right now, the simplest thing to say is that obviously the market is just in a bearish state, a neutral or bearish state. Volatility is up, so fear is currently being expressed in the markets, obviously. So the rules are always the same, so obviously it's just going to be a repeat. So what that means is that when fear leaves the market, we will go back to more of a rally market state or bullish trending state. But, for the moment, we do have some degree of fear in the market. Now, the volatility index is only at 20. When I say only at 20, I mean, that's relatively high, I guess. But yeah, I mean, volatility, I think, I could double check, but volatility started breaking out on the VIX a couple days back around the price, I think, of like 17. I can double check that. Maybe it was a little lower, but yeah. Oh, actually, it's right there. Yeah, so volatility started breaking out on Tuesday, and that was at the price of $17.24. So at that point, Tuesday, $17.30. on this stream, I think we were live during that. Yeah, it was around 10:30 it seems, maybe 9:30 or so. But anyways, yeah, so volatility broke out on Tuesday. And so it was at that point that we could already read that fear was being elevated and fear was being introduced to the market. And generally when that happens, you're going to start seeing the stock market come down. It's a pretty common occurrence. So for the moment, to be, a long bias participant, what you're going to be looking for in the coming days, weeks, etc., is going to be for the volatility markets to go back into a downtrend and arguably the market to go into an uptrend. And generally, markets don't go into uptrends until the market goes into an uptrend, or B, the volatility market enters a downtrend, and we use the downtrend start on volatility to then make the market go into an uptrend. So we're ways off from being long bias trend traders in this market. That has nothing to do with short-term day trade scalping setups that happen all the time. But for more of like the swing market, bigger kind of movement, if you will, to a degree, that's going to be some time away. So we're going to have to wait on that one. That was a good cup of coffee. When a cup of coffee is just better than others, that was one of those. Apparently the proportion of coffee to a little cream was just perfect. Which I drink coffee black. I drink it with cream. Sometimes I'll add some sugar. I'm not really, I don't really go one way with it. But that was a good one, Good morning, Sam. How are you? I have not seen any penny stocks that I think were great today. I took a trade on like one penny stock today, which didn't really amount to like anything. Very small, nothing, pretty much. Now, you guys obviously know that it's going to be very common that you come into my stream and you hear me say that there's not a whole lot of this or that. And that's because the ideal entry for us does not last long. It's very, very minimal. And the likelihood that you're going to be looking at the stock at the perfect time or the back test, it's just not as likely. But when you're right, the risk is super limited. So that being said, I ended up getting up around 7 today and doing some stuff and, looking at emails. And by the time I really started to look at charts, it's just nothing's really come across in the moment that I've been focused that makes sense, right? And that's going to be the case most days, right? Now, if I woke up a little earlier and I sat here for more hours, more glued, then yeah, maybe there'd be more things that I catch. But, it's a give and take game. Do you want to wake up every single day super duper duper early, or you want to get some rest? It's up to you. But so for the moment, and now I'm gonna do a refresh. I'm just running through all the stocks here on this scanner here on the left, and I'll do the one on the bottom right, and I'm just kind of looking, right? Yeah, that could be something. Maybe CANF, that might turn into something, and it has maybe some potential. Because here's the other thing, I could run through every single stock with you guys, but it takes so long. I can quickly look at them all and just be like, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. But it's when I start to really dive into whys, then it takes a bit. But, for example, CANF, if you guys bring that up on your chart and you look at it with your own eyes, it started a breakout at the price of $4.22, and that was at 6 in the morning. I got to change the time frame on my Thinkorswim platform because it's off, and I've tried to change it. I just don't know why I can't find the proper setting. But anyways, so CANF broke out at 5 in the morning, and then it pulled back and it started to back test support around. Hold on, I might be some kind of stupid. That would be 5. I gotta fix the time frame, and it's always tripping me up. Yeah. So, anyways, CANF broke out at 5 in the morning, and then it back tested at like 5:30 in the morning, and that was the dip buy. And then from that, from that dip buy, I had a 16% return. But like I said, so that one, so CANF is still over support. It's already had its back test, so now it's kind of on the either it's continuation or it's going to flop and it's going to sell back to 420. Right, so like when I look at CANF right now, and I guess I'll bring it up, right, and just get everyone kind of on the right page for the morning. I hate that chart overlaps this chart. I don't know why. Maybe I don't know why it does that. I'm not really sure, but it's kind of annoying. But I guess all you need is the bottom. So CANF, right? I mean, you guys get it. You can see where the uptrend starts. If you're ever watching my chart, pretty much wherever you see 2 yellow lines, that's always me most of the time. Not all the time, but I mean, generally speaking, if you see 2 lines like that, or even 1, that for me, that's generally where I'm mapping off where the uptrend and the algorithmic shift in the chart happens. And that's basically where the program is at, right? Whether we're going to be bullish above or not, right? So that's where computerized systems make changes within charts, program, however you want to conceptualize it. I don't, it's up to you, but I know that's what's going on. So just like right here, right? We were in a downtrend on CANF, breaks out, right? Over the 2 yellows. Right, so this is it, right? So it doesn't like this right here doesn't look amazing. I'm not saying it is, and I'm not saying it's the greatest thing. But if you really break down what you're seeing and remove what you've been taught that should look good, and maybe it's a pattern, this or that, right? If you just take that all away for a second and you look at this setup and move this chart, because for some reason it stays over the other one. I'm not a computer genius, as you can tell, right? So here's your breakout. Goes up 26%. Like this right here, that's very hard to catch. I very rarely catch something like that. And that's because most of the time, I could get into it, but I mean, the reality is computers run the market. So a lot of times like this right here, I would say that's an algorithmic, algorithm like starting, if you will, right? Like retail didn't just come and was like, yeah, I'm about to just slap 20,000 shares of CANF right here because I think it's the greatest stock in the world. No, they have no clue, right? So this is more of like algorithmic pump here. And then this back test is more of where retail could get involved, right? So the first one's kind of like a warning, right? Or like the potential, the signal, maybe. This is the back test of that algorithmic shift right there. And then from there, you can see how this sets up into, whether you want to call this like a little head and shoulders, whether you want to call it a WW, whether you want to call this a bottom, and then this is a bull flag, right? And then there's a breakout. I mean, however you really want to define what you're seeing, right? At the end of the day, it's really just a breakout, a back test, and a bounce here for the stock. And now it's either this thing has to keep going or it's just going to go right back to there. And then it's going to have to decide if it's going to go into a downtrend, right? So, this uptrend play, sometimes that's all you're going to get. Sometimes it turns into a big move, sometimes less. So now that we've covered that in detail for the 4 of you guys here, now you'll know exactly what I'm thinking about every time I'm really going through a chart and you see those lines and I'm talking about penny stocks, which I guess you guys probably already knew that anyways, but yeah. All right, so we're going to get this all back into focus, and now I'm going to go back to what I was doing, which is flipping through these plays. Alrighty. That's kind of interesting, but we kind of see like there's another one right now, like RNAZ. We kind of missed that one a little bit. That just took place at 8:13. Had a little back test already. That might have continuation. So now it just has to be a continuation player. Risk is all the way down to $9, so it's kind of Let's go. I'm now up 19% on my play with TEAD, and I'm actually going to get ready to close that one out, I think, or at least lock some of it. Might as well. Sure, we'll do that. So. Yeah, so I guess this makes sense to I guess so. So yeah, I remember I saying I only took one trade on something this morning. It was this play right here. So, yeah, same story, right? So if you think about TEAD, ready? Here it is, right? It's pretty straightforward. This one popped up on the biggest gainers list, right? So, again, that's another part of it, right? Is like, generally speaking, you know how we're like, well, we're looking for the uptrend starts and blah, well, if a stock is going into an uptrend, then obviously it would be going up in the first place, right? And if it's going to continue in its uptrend or, uptrend in general, then arguably it may be on the gainers list, right? So it's pretty straightforward. Any stock that's up 10% or whatever hits the biggest gainers list, at least what I look at, right? So just in general, right? So we have this stock here, TEAD. I don't think it's amazing. I don't think it's the greatest play. Maybe it keeps going, maybe not. Don't know what they do, blah, blah, blah. Came up on the biggest gainers list. I look at where the algorithmic shift levels are at. I believe those levels, for me at least, are at 63 cents and at the price of 67 cents. So you can see I've mapped off those two lines. What did we have? We had the market essentially kind of going through them. It wasn't like an abrupt breakout, but a lot of volume, and the market is going up through what I believe are the algorithmic uptrend shifting levels. And then, you could call that a double top, and maybe I'll increase the size of this. That thing's I gotta figure that out, but anyway, and then here's your back test, and then there's your long, right? So arguably retail probably not getting too involved here because, it's just starting, if you will. And maybe I can't say for sure, and I don't want to make up random stuff, but anyway, so there's TEAD. But again, pretty straightforward, same exact pattern that I just showed you on CANF, right? So what you'll come to realize is that it's really the same exact setup for penny stocks as it is the S&P 500. Like, for example, how we're talking about the market being bearish and the market's in a neutral to bearish state. The same system we use for the stock market, it's the same system here for the penny stock. It's literally that, right? So this is where the uptrend starts. So right now, TEAD is in a bullish state, right? And it's pulled back and it's hit support and now it's rallying, right? So this was one that I picked this morning that I put a small position on because I felt that it just met the requirements for possibility, right? It had started moving, there was a decent volume, hadn't yet had maybe a big back test, and there you go. And now the market for this back test is arguably up, I don't know, what is that, 22% or so. So not bad. I just drew a lot of random lines in there. We should probably take a few of those off. So there's that. Yeah. See, I always try to be quick with this stuff, but I can't. My brain is just so analytical, and I try to be fast, but end up being slow, I guess. I could be fast, but yeah. So there was that one. RNAZ, is that still? Yeah, RNAZ's got an interesting look to it, but I feel like it could be kind of scummy. I feel like it looks good, but it's not going to be easy. And I've been debating taking a position on that for a while, but I just don't think it's going to, be easy. Like CISS, I've looked at this one, it's just meh. NXL, I was thinking about that one, but I feel like I'm also a tad bit late to that. Obviously late, but it doesn't even backtest yet. I have to hold off. See, there's some you look at and you're just like, you just don't know if they're going to continue or if they're going to go for a back test, and so you just kind of find yourself always in this, well, I know there's proper entries, and you can either try to just get continuation or not. Yeah, as far as the large cap stuff, there isn't any large cap stock. Well, that's not true. As far as the Magnificent Seven, like big tech guys, We don't have any uptrends on anything right now. Netflix also did not go to our 50 SMA move. That's been closed out. I closed that one out yesterday a little bit. Ultimately, once I figured it wasn't going to go to where I wanted it to go, I just took it off because it's in a downtrend. So we still don't have any large cap stock that's currently in an uptrending motion on the shorter term, kind of tradable time frame, if you will. So when that changes, it'll change and we'll be here for it. But currently there isn't really anything as far as like, uptrends. Well, then again, the market's not open. So we'll see if that changes there. Another thing is that wait, where is that pay? Oh, did that not save for me yet? That's weird. Oh. Oh, it is there. Yeah. Wait a second. Oh, it must have not saved from yesterday. Well, that's lame. Yeah, whatever. All right, let's go into the market. I mean, it's only 8:46, but you know. I do have a light speed account. I don't currently have money in it because I kind of stopped shorting them, and that's kind of what I was mainly using my light speed account for, was kind of like, you know, good access. I mean, there's other brokers that are good for shorting too, but no, I haven't really been using a light speed account as of recent. I've been debating if I'm going to kind of refund one and start again, but haven't been. But that's what I would mainly use that for. But no, I hardly ever short penny stocks now, or just in general, because I hate having to pay the locate fee. That was kind of another thing I kind of got over, only because I think it's just a kind of, I don't know, I think it's kind of a gimmick. You know, the industry puts naked shorts on stocks all the time, and they don't got to pay locate fees. So I just think it's kind of BS. That's one thing I didn't like, but anyways, yeah. Bitcoin down to 69,000. You know, no shocker. We've known this for a long time. So there's still more downside to come with Bitcoin. You're not late to buying it. If anything, you'd be early. So don't worry, you're fine. Market's going to keep going down. Expect more bearish news articles and people to get pissed off. It's completely normal. This is, again, it's all expected. So just let her keep rolling down. Again, S&P 500 is bearish in a neutral to bearish state. Volatility is elevated. There isn't really any great penny stock currently that I see, but I could also be missing something. So just got to keep kind of keeping the eyes peeled. Actually, I probably should have looked at some of the earnings plays from this morning too. AIM, interesting. Is that going to be dog? Good. Yeah, I'm kind of looking at this AIM stock right now. It's doing a back test right now, so there is some potential it turns into a decent long. I'll take a small position on AIM because why not? But it's already gone up to the 4-hour level, so we'll see. Interesting. It's still working. on to the next one. Let's see. AIM's got volume. It's over its breakout level. It just depends on if we're going to get some action or if it's going to be kind of lame and slow. And we'll see. You never know. Again, like, it's not a game of exactly, you know, I can't really say I know exactly which ones are going to be great and not. It's just more about trying to find something that's going into an uptrend that's got relatively decent low risk and so on and so forth. So, again, got a small position there on AIM. If it works, great. If it doesn't, I mean, whatever. I guess we'll be here tomorrow. All right. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna keep flipping through some of these stocks here, seeing if I find anything else that might be worthy of an attempt. Ooh, hymns. What is this? This thing's going. Shoot. It kind of looks good though. I kind of like the way this HIMS is looking. HIMS. All right. Gonna take a little profit there on AIMS. I've already been taking some, but I'm gonna take a little bit more there because obviously it's up now, and that makes it a 10% trade. So it's a 10% return on my capital right there. So obviously you gotta be, you know, not a dumbass. So we're gonna take a little money on that. I kind of like the HIMS too. I like HIMS in a way. The problem with that one though is it's already broken out at the price of $26.14. But the problem is it's already ran up to $26 and wait, am I stupid? It's already run up to $27.68. So that would be my price target of the breakout at 26. And I'm not sure if it's going to break out again here at 27 or whatever. So might have to hold off. I was going to buy some there, but I'm like, we'll see. All right, gonna keep looking, but I'm gonna move HIMS to a watcher kind of chart. What was I doing? Equities. Oh, what a beautiful trade there on AIMS. Who would have thought? All right, I'm gonna take some more money off the table there with AIM. That puts that trade up about 16% there, so that's good. Yeah, just gonna keep looking around here, guys. My TEAD trade, what is that doing? That is up 11%. Kind of pulling back now. I don't know what it's like. Should I hold? I mean, I could, but I mean, is it gonna keep around? I have no clue. All right, I don't want to pay attention to it anymore. But I guess that's kind of stupid just to take it off because you don't want to pay attention. So I guess I'll just make a mental stop down there. That's better. Okay. Alrighty, what's up next? All right, gonna start from the bottom of the scanner and move my way up. That's a no. EFOI, that's a no. SVRE, that is a no. MEHA, that is a no. CUPR, that's a no. AIM up to $1.67. Gonna sell a little bit more up there because why would I not? That trade is now up 35%. Sweet. All right, what's ALXO? Nothing. SITM. Now up 43%. I will sell a little more there. Cool. What else do we got? hopefully something. SITM. Oh, I'm already looking at that. Never mind. BRBI. BRBI. What about you, champ? Nope, that's nothing. HIMS. HIMS. Probably should have took a little HIMS there, but whatever. DHX. That was a yesterday's mover. That one's on a pullback, but see, DHX actually could. It might be a continuation setup. It's not a breakout. If anything, it would be a continuation. And I don't really know how I feel about that one yet. So I'm just going to have to put DHX on a side watch for the moment. Sell bid. Just took a little bit more off on AIM there. Still got some on, not a whole lot. GD, wait, what am I looking at? I'm looking at DHX. HIMS is 29. NXL. See, see, NXL kind of worked, and we were thinking about that one, but just, yeah. We already did CISS. Yeah, that's not gonna work. BNAI. Oh, that's right, BNAI. I was thinking about BNAI this morning, but it was kind of one of those ones that broke out, ran to the price target already, so I just couldn't really justify a proper entry on that one. So, but I don't know. Maybe, I mean, why would you do that though? Why would it do that? I don't know. Anyways, BNA, maybe I should go on a side watch. DHX. Do I want that one yet? No. All right. I'm screwing up this chart, but that's fine. All right, we're going to throw BNAI on a side watch too, because that could be a potential. Market is down. Who would have thought, you know? I guess I could put AIM up here for the moment, because this is, where is this? Yeah, so this is, so AIM, so we're currently pretty much long AIM from that bottom. Well, I could go to, that is a 1 minute chart. Yeah, so we're long from AIM and that bottom right there. All right. So, yeah. Now it's just whatever that thing wants to do is fine by me. Currently up 52%. Well, 50%, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But, so that's doing well, that's good. See, look at if you, you don't have to look at it, but if you look at RNAZ, it's just like, again, it was just one of those ones looking kind of scummy there, you know. Yeah. Oh, snap. Oh, that's a 30-minute. Interesting. That's really far away. What was I gonna do? I don't know. I forget. Let's see, SPY. Haven't even really looked at this a whole lot today, but it won't take long to figure out what's going on. So, anyways, that's downside. Definitely not super bullish looking by any means. Kind of has more of a continuation look to it. Yeah, there's gonna be is there gonna be a gap down today? I think so. Maybe not. Should be, yeah. Cool. Well, nonetheless, the current trend for the market on the SPY is down, but there's always that possibility of the counter kind of pop back on the market, and if so, I kind of have the targets being right now it's 684.53, so that would be like counter bounce back up to continuation down if we don't just drown out, right? So right now it kind of has a look to it that feels more cliff divey as opposed to counter long back up, but I've been proven wrong before. So nonetheless, we're still in kind of that 30-minute cycle down. So I would probably suspect we're going to continue lower, but again, we'll see. We also have a gap down today, but either way. So if we don't just drown out going into the open, then we should expect that price is going to go back to here, right? First, at which point we then give the sellers of the pre-market today on the SPY the opportunity to pull the market back down, right? If they're strong enough, then we'll continue this move down. If they're not strong enough, we'll know because sooner than later we'll squeeze them out above, right? So that's kind of how the current playing field is set up based off of what has happened over the past couple days and then what has taken place this morning in the pre-market session. Okay. Alrighty. Again, I am still long on AIM. The trade is up, well, currently sitting in the 47% to 50%. Just depends on if it's going to continue or not, but ultimately still got a little long on AIM. It's really for the hope that it just continues. But, I've been selling that thing pretty much since the moment I bought it all the way up. So it's not like we're trying to time the perfect top or what have you. It's just more or less about finding a stock that's arguably entering an uptrend, try to find a low risk entry, and then make some money as the thing hopefully goes up. Fingers crossed, hope and pray. That's pretty much it. All right, I'm going to kind of keep flipping through some of these stocks. Maybe I missed something, maybe something I did kind of miss a little something there, because that's kind of what happens when I'm on stream and I'm kind of trying to teach some of the stuff. You kind of miss a little bit, and also, it's just some of these things move so fast and they pop up so quick that no matter what, you kind of have to just constantly be looking at the next ticker hitting the scanner if you want to trade a penny stock at least, for the momentum and catch them at their uptrend moments. But yeah, so that being said, should I have taken that long? I probably should have. But again, it's like it's already getting to target, so it's just one of those ones. DHX. See, I should have. I'm going to take a little bit on DHX. I should have already done it, and I feel like I'm a little bit late to that, but whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna try for some continuation on DHX, but again, I'm not like in love with it, so probably I'm not gonna take a ton of shares on that. It's gonna be very small. What else do we got going on? There was something I was just looking at. AIM coming down. Now, do remember that the uptrend started on AIM around the price of, around the price of $1.20 and $1.13. So if AIM does not just keep continuing up, then it runs the risk of eventually selling all the way back down to the price of $1.20 and $1.13, because again, that's where the uptrend started and blah blah blah. So just keep that in mind. 20Z just keeps it's got a decent amount of volume. It is kind of interesting. It did start an uptrend. It's just a little elevated away from supports. CANF, it does have an interesting look to it, you know. Oh man. Ugh. Yeah, I was looking at PPCB, but it was too late, missed it. You know, same scenario, right? But I'll bring it up because again, I think it's a decent learning example. Granted, this one's only like 30-something cents, but if you look, right, same scenario as always, right? So we go to the 30-minute time frame, we find where is the SMA calculation. It's at 21 cents, right? So then if we come down here to the chart on the right and you zoom in, where's 21 cents? Sorry, right? That's right there. So this is, right? So where does the uptrend start for this stock? Here at 21 cents. First algorithmic pop into it gets rejected. We come up through 21. There's your breakout. Just like that. So, to have caught that, you only had like 2 minutes, right? You would have had to have been watching this and then watching the break at 21 cents. You had 2 minutes to basically try to get involved, at least on that move, for 39% upside on PPCB, but you only had 2 minutes. So essentially you had 2 minutes to find that stock, already be watching that stock, etc., to have gotten that algorithmically low risk timed entry right into the break point on that SMA calculation. Not an easy thing to do. So as you can see, like we always say as we're going through stuff, I'm like, there's really just not that much, because the reality is the ideal entry point exists for basically zero time, minutes, couple minutes, just like AIM, right? If we were to, go look at AIM, it's pretty much the same scenario, right? So if we look at AIM, right, the one we took long on, right, where the entry, right? The entry was all the way down here at $1.18 on that candle, right? And why? Because that's where the algorithmic shift happened. So we basically had AIM pop up and kind of rally up a little bit. That's what brought it to my attention, right? Was that little push changing the algorithm? Was it algorithmically going into an uptrend? It was, and it just so happens when I was looking at it, we were right on the back test. So that's why I said, okay, we'll go long, because the risk is super limited, right? If it's going into an uptrend, then that's the bottom, right? If it's not going into an uptrend, then I'll know within just a few pennies, arguably. It could be a fake, right? But you see what I'm saying? Because the same level dictates uptrend as it does downtrend. So if I'm buying here, then that could be the start of an uptrend. If not, then okay, I guess not, right? But that's how we were able to join in on a move that went up 57% this day, because we were arguably buying at the start of an uptrend. And it just so happens we were lucky enough to be in front of the computer looking at the right stock at the exact right moment to get in on, the candle within a minute. So as you can see, the reality of trading is that no, it is not simple to wake up and make a few $1,000s every single day. It is not as simple as just looking for a few patterns of bull flags in the market and, like a head and shoulders, and no. To find the proper low risk stuff, it's not easy. Now the timing aspect of it especially. Right? So if there's plenty of ways to skin a cat, right? But, when I look back at AIM, and I used to trade far different, but when I look at AIM, and I see, okay, there's the 30-minute, that's where it breaks out. the 4 hours, another breakout level we watch, right? So when I see that and I see the back test here, I go, okay, like this could potentially be a penny stock that's starting to wake up today. The algorithms are starting to move it, right? So I would much rather be having my entry point, somewhere here than trying to draw a bull flag on the top of the market and be like, oh, well, yeah, if it breaks this flag, then it goes up, right? So that's just that. So that's what I'm looking for when we're on stream with you guys every single day. Whenever I'm on stream, that is. And you just basically see me flipping through stocks. Those are the things we're looking for. That's what I'm looking for every single moment with you guys, is what is at the ideal low risk entry spot that has, potential for upside and limited risk. And does it make sense? And the opportunities are there every single day, but they only last for a very, very, very short period of time. Minutes, usually. Seconds, right? But it happens every single day in the same fashion with some variance, right? Either it's breaking out and going, it's breaking out and pulling back on a 1 minute candle, then going, it's breaking out, pulling back over a few minutes and then going, etc., right? Or it's breaking out, going, having a correction later down to those, and then a 10-20% bounce, right? But it's all the same thing, just, extrapolated across multiple stocks for the day, I guess. 9/11. Cool. 9/11. What? All right, so I'm just going to do another run through of the penny stocks here. Actually, you know what? What I should be doing is maybe looking at some of the earnings from this morning, too. I got a lot of things that go on in my brain. Like I said, I have a very analytical, very ADD brain, and, I lack dopamine, that's for sure. So, my brain is really intrigued by the consistency of activity and things to do, which is hence why I like to analyze so many different things and look at so many different things. It just keeps my brain going. Right? It's hard for me to sit and just look at one thing particularly. Well, I guess those are, so those are all going to be the after hours. Okay, I'm not even going to worry about that then. And yes, I speak to myself a lot because otherwise I would literally probably just be teaching the entire time, which, that takes a lot of brain power. Bitcoin just pretty much doing whatever it's doing. Silver, oh no, silver's down again. Down to who? Oh my gosh. Who would have thought? No, if only there was someone to tell me that Bitcoin was going to top around the $100 to $109 area, maybe the 120. Dang it. Shoot. What are we going to do? Okay. Again, still got to play on DHX. I still have a small long on AIM. AIM is down to like the last bit. Pretty much nothing. That's more or less just for me to have fun, just to see how high it might go for me at this point, right? It's like, does it go 300%? Does it turn into a swing trade that ends up being 200%? I don't know, right? So, because the entry's too good, right? The entry's all the way down at $1.28. So basically, either this thing's an absolute piece of crap, and what we saw was a pump, and then it just rolls all the way back down to $1.20, or it doesn't, right? And maybe it holds up for the day. Maybe it continues. Maybe it turns into a 3-day swing. Again, I don't know. But I know that it started an uptrend today, and whatever algorithm, whoever's pumping it, it doesn't matter, right? Because penny stocks and like the stock market, especially penny stocks, right? They're all programs and algorithms and pumps, and we don't control that, right? But we know that someone somewhere Y sent off a buy algorithm on it very early this morning, spiking it, causing it to go on the biggest gainers, break out over algorithmic levels that start uptrends. We ran a pump all the way to $1.90. Whoever's controlling this, do they want it to go higher? Don't know. If they don't, it's going to go back down to $1.20. If they do, it's going to go up, and I don't know where it's going to go to. Don't really care. So just basically sitting, riding AIM at this point with the hopes it goes higher and the understanding if it doesn't, it goes all the way back down to $1.20, $1.10, right? DHX, it's an earnings play. We got a little bit on that one. Are we in love with it? Absolutely not. Does it look great? Not really. Did it already break out? Yes. So what is it? It's a continuation play. So it's one of those ones where we're literally just fingers crossed that it just keeps going. And the reason I like it is because it's literally just a 10 SMA bounce, right? So I'm basically thinking we have a 10 SMA bounce continuation long on DHX. If it doesn't work, okay, shoot. I guess I'll come back tomorrow and try again. So we got a little bit there. BNAI I'm watching because it had some volatility. Maybe it has some more, but if it does, then we're going to be looking somewhere down at $24.58, which basically means anybody getting long at $28.43 right now runs the risk of seeing BNAI drop out to the price of $24.50. So I'm just not really willing to participate on that one until it touches specific levels. All right. Yeah, I have no position long on the markets right now. Well, that's not true. As it relates to like trading or, I am long the stock market, but not for the purpose of the stream. And never mind, that just sounds dumb. But either way, we're not swing long market. When it makes sense, we'll go back swing long. I don't even have a short on the market right now either, with it going down. I have no short on the market currently, no long in the market. And remember, as we said this morning, it looks, and actually maybe I should add some text to that. So if we don't just drop out, this is the counter target for this morning. And as we said, it kind of just looks like the market's going to drop out of this. It doesn't. I personally don't think we're going to bounce this for a counter right away. I do think it's going to be a lackluster start to the open, and then it's going to just roll down. So again, we're neutral to bearish as it relates to the system. And yeah, that's that. Okay, I am going to continue looking around for something. I don't really know what I'm looking for yet, but we're looking all right. Just going to do a quick run through these guys. TEAD, do I still have? I do. But whatever. Oh, wrong thing. RNAZ, that one's dumped down. That one's absolutely dumper magoo. What about hymns? Wait, I was supposed to be watching hymns too. What am I doing? Silly boy. Man, my charts, I set up all my charts last night the way I wanted to, and then I literally logged off and forgot to save them. So now I'm just kind of like, kind of messing up some of this stuff, unfortunately. Hmm. Oh, man, that was a good crack in the neck. I'm gonna have so many problems when I get older. I already know it. Okay, what's going on with this guy? Sorry, guys, I'm using my brain. You know, behind the scenes right now, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 34 charts. 1, 2, 2 different scanners. Controlling a streaming software. Looking at your YouTube chat comments. Managing some positions. And yeah. So, if I'm ever not speaking, it's because my eyes are currently reading lots. And that's because I am looking at the same strategy across the board for penny stocks, the stock market, the largest market cap stocks, so all of your Magnificent Seven, and all of your sectors as well, to figure out where money has been flowing in the markets as of recent. And yeah, the market internals, so the underlying market breadth, and the biggest gainers, and some custom stuff. But yeah, so remember, just silent, just know I get a lot of different things I'm looking at. So I always see my head swiveling like this. I'm just basically reading 30, 40 different charts at one time. But the nice thing is that since it's the same strategy across the board, it's literally, it really takes just seconds to look through them all. But you have to keep doing it as the markets change and move and start to interact with the levels, right? Like, out of these 37 charts, an uptrend could be starting on any one of them at any given time, right? So when you guys see me this morning kind of going through all these stocks, and you know, then we said, hey, we're going to take a trade on AIM. It's because AIM, of all of those different, it happened to be the one that I could see in that moment that was starting a potential uptrend. So then we put on some risk, right? So at any moment, if I see an uptrend start that I think is worthy, or a back test that I think is worthy, then I will put on some risk. Good morning, Anthony. Good morning to you. It's 9:23, so that being said, I'm going to go get a coffee, and I'll be right back. Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Or, well, yeah, welcome. Alrighty. Wait, what the? Why is that not Excuse me. I'm wondering if I keep looking at CANF this morning, wondering if we're gonna get some activity there. It's got like the setup looks interesting, but I just feel like it's gonna be super scummy. So I just feel, is that marijuana? I think that's what that one is. Seems like that industry in the stocks has just been so finicky. Maybe it's not. Is it healthcare? Can't find out. It's a biotech, biopharm. Anywhooser, yeah, we'll bring back up the SPY. We're at 927. I haven't really thought too hard about downside destinations for the market today, so I probably should take some time to maybe consider that. If we continue to go, down, where we're gonna go to, let's see. Only got about 2 minutes to figure this one out, so let's see. Well, it would already make sense that we would test that. The weekly. And then it would make sense that maybe we go down to weekly. Well, I'm already, excuse me, man, I keep getting a tickle. If we're there, we should already be testing that. So that's 3 areas of interest, all based off. Yeah, so we got some longer term time frame volume weighted average price stuff that would already make sense to trade down into. There's that. Test it. No. Let's go to the 30 minutes. Turn our regular trader on. Now 12 seconds to the open. Excuse me. Yeah, we're into quite a few things here. We're into some daily VWAP, some weekly VWAP. So this is, in theory, like all some daily VWAP support areas. And when I say support, it's because we're not through it yet. But I don't trust this market to hold too much. But if it does, we'll look for the counter move back to the green box. But like I said, we're kind of in a bearish market here, and this looks very sell-off, kind of like dumpish. So we have a gap down here on the market. So if we do get continuation, we may see this market go for a gap and go to the downside towards the price of $6,791.23 on the SPX. There. Man. Sorry. Maybe some coffee will take that away. Maybe that's what I need. What? That's crazy. Oh, there. That's more sense. So, yeah. We'll just leave it at that for the moment. Alrighty. Oh shit, kind of forgot to pay attention to that. I freaking, what am I doing? I send. My DHX move did end up working, but I was kind of not paying attention to it for the moment, but that's okay. So, yeah, there's that. Bro, what? He is tripping. Man. AIM still holding up. Excuse me. Netflix this morning has moved up into the 50 SMA. It's kind of the move we were looking for yesterday. So I'm wondering, are we getting a false long on Netflix today, or are we getting a long setup on Netflix right now? That's the question. I think we gotta try some Netflix because I think it's arguably breaking out a little bit, even if it's just very temporary. We gotta see. I mean, hopefully we get a little bit of love from the old Netflix. Now, the risk we run with Netflix is basically if it's not a legit breakout, then the market's going to obviously go right back to $82. So that's kind of it, is whether or not, Netflix is a legit breakout or not, or if we're, we got to get a pullback and hold 82 there. So watching that currently. Market's still staying down because obviously the market is just, in a bear state currently. Okay, trimming a little on Netflix because it's a green move, and now I'm just kind of chilling. And stops will go in below the 50 SMA, debatably. Well, hold on, wait. We got a target on Netflix. I wasn't really using my brain too much there. We got a target on Netflix up to $83.20. So I think we're gonna see this move on Netflix go up to $83.20 here, at least. Oh, it's just always a phone call in the morning, it feels. Oh, I don't have time. Too busy. I don't want to answer. All right, fine. What else we got moving here? I'm gonna take a peek around at some of these other guys. Wait, what? I guess it did. So again, for Netflix, we just did the long from like 82 close to the 4-hour level of 83.15. We stopped at 82.97 there for a second, but what I currently see on the Netflix market is just we have room. The market I see is the break from the 30 to the 4, which is from like 82s to like 83.15. Now, if we could get Netflix up and through 83.15 or so, then you might get a bigger move because then you'd be breaking the 4 hour. But for the moment, the market is currently from like 82 to 83.15. And then it would just be fingers crossed that we can get up and through 83.15 because then you could get more out of it. But ultimately, like it just so happens that that's just how the market is set up right now. Okay. All right. I need to take a second. I got to put Netflix over here. How is that not even? I'm just so beyond confused. We're starting to bounce a little bit on the market again. Remember, the counter target is the box. It's less of like exactly the price point of. It's just in general. It's the moving average, right? Not the box. So that's what we're looking for on the market. Is ultimately once it settles down, bounces as it is, it's gonna get taken back up to about that box. That's usually the common occurrence for the market each day. All right, so Netflix is up to about $83.07 there, so pretty much coming into that 4 hour target. That's a profit take. When I say that, it's just because that's where algorithms are programmed right now. I know that. Now, do the programs that are there, use the market as resistant, and those are all kind of relatively unknown, but there's a nice little Netflix move. All right, like I said, I got to keep looking around here. That's why, I kind of messed my chart up. I need to cover up the chat here. Let's see, where is my other one? Is it that one? Or is it this one? There you are. All right, there we go. Yeah, so Netflix, I just gotta reset some stuff up so my charts are all proper. Sorry. And then what we say. All right, so Netflix is the only stock I see this morning that's kind of flipped positive. And other than that, Meta's, Yeah, Meta is not positive. Yeah, nothing's really positive other than Google, and that's just for Netflix, and that's for like a second. So, like we said, the target there for Netflix would be up to about $83.15. We hit $83.11. Now, the pullback for Netflix is arguably back down to $82.04 here, right? Because again, we broke out the SMA, but if the market wants a back test, that's where it's going to go. So we'll see, right? It's either Netflix continues, right, and hopefully breaks out 83, or we will see the price back down to 82. So that's kind of it. It's like, you run the risk of Netflix going back to 82 with it not being above, as we just described. Anyways, you get the point. So. Oh, wow, I need to change the scanner. I'm a dummy. I wonder why. I'm like, something don't seem right. Yeah, I probably missed a few things there, but that's okay. Whoa. Dang, CISS pulled that scummy move. Did is that gonna? I don't know. It's kind of got an interesting look to it, though. I'm gonna say some CISS might have some legs still. Might have to keep that one on tab. Again, there's the pop on the market back to said target there. That's another interesting one. Again, markets just popping up to volume weighted average price area. Pretty common here. Let's zoom in a little bit. Yeah, so, like we were talking before, if very seldom do we ever read something. Netflix, yeah, baby, let's go. Netflix doing well, folks, doing well. Well, I mean, it's not that. It's just. It's pretty. Not like it's anything amazing. I'm just saying it's gone into an uptrend so far. It's performed okay. It's gone to the 4-hour long target destination as we described, and now, yeah. Stock market has gone up to, it hasn't quite tagged it, but we're getting ever closer to the volume weighted average price target. But arguably did do it, but a true live tag hasn't really happened. But, Alright, I'm going to take a second here and just kind of keep scanning through some things, seeing if I like anything else. It just looks weird. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. We just missed that, but that one's got crazy volume. Okay, I kind of missed that one. Why did I not see that? Maybe I did? I should have seen that better. Anyways. Yeah, JTAI was looking at that one. It started to break out at the price of 16 cents, and that price target has just been hit here at 19 cents. Not that I really cared for that, but just in general. What's going on with is the Russell 2000 breaking out? No, it's having a good green day, so we're kind of starting to see a little bit of movement there in the penny stock world, just because of Russell 2000 having a pretty decent day. So it's putting in some good greens. We're starting to see kind of momentum on the board for a lot of lower price stocks. Yeah, and some higher price ones, I guess. As we mentioned before, Netflix, in that moment, we were only targeting up to about $83.15 because that's just kind of how the algorithms were positioned there. JBDI, what are you? Ooh. It's just... more of a swing sit. There's not a ton of momentum there. Dang it. Kind of messed up the hymns. Could have traded hymns. And I moved it off my chart and forgot to put it somewhere else. Yeah. Whatever. So, missed trade there, but what you gonna do? Alright, so, yeah, it's been a pretty solid day so far, I gotta say. Been pretty happy with what has happened so far. Would my freaking mouse work? There it goes. Let me bring up this SPY here. Alrighty, yeah, so yeah, I mean, that's that. Just gonna kind of sit back for a second. I've used my brain power, but oh, you know what? I'm not done yet. There was something else I wanted to do today, which was get a little bit deeper into some of the sector stuff. So XLB is where the sector is right now. It's got the most movement. So let's take a look at SW. Shit, wait, where's this? I forget how fast this updates. Is it delayed? I think it is delayed. I think that's why I stopped using that. Pretty sure. Yeah, because that's all wrong. LIB not moving. Yeah, I think that info's like a day late or something. Obviously, if you look at Netflix, it's almost pulled back to 82. I think we're at 82.13 now, 82.20s, etc. Volatility index has been pulling back all morning. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I've been looking around a couple things here. So, yeah, I mean, just trying to figure out where some of the money has been maybe flowing today, but I can't say I've done an amazing job at that. gosh. Phone just keeps going off. Put that bad boy on silent. I don't get it. Why isn't it not working? Huh. Well, Netflix still holding up, still doing its thing. That's good. I'm looking at Microsoft. I thought I was looking at Meta. I was like, I'm not seeing that. Yeah, so, Meta's already bouncing at the daily 50 SMA. Yeah, so that trade needed to take place down at 655. Right, if you were looking for a daily 50 SMA trade on Meta, you should be long at 655. And if that was the long, then that algorithm needs a target. Where would it be targeting? Possible. 10 SMA short term, that would be up at 671. Yeah, I mean, it could continue. And it might. I'm just saying, I just know that entry's late for that play because he needed to be long at 655. Oh, wrong thing. Yeah, so GS came down into it, bounced, now rolling down into it. So far, not the strongest daily 50 SMA hold, I would say, but I do see that. Good change. Netflix doing well. Netflix is now up to $83.28. So now we're coming up and through the 4-hour level, right? So the best case scenario would obviously be if it broke out the 4-hour level and just kept going. The more likely scenario is that it probably struggles here. Maybe doesn't just break right away. Or if it did break right away, it would then pull back and retest. So we're not really looking at Netflix at the price of $83.20 and thinking it's just going to explode away. It could, but that's more of the hopeful side of things. The likely is that it actually has a little resistance, some hesitation, and so on and so forth. And then if it does in fact break out, then again, fingers crossed it keeps going, but it most likely needs a pullback to then back test, right? So any hooser. So what we did on Netflix today, that little, trade, recommendation, I guess. It's not even a trade recommendation. It's really just what we did on Netflix today was we did an algorithmic move from one moving average to the next moving average. That's all we did. We just moved the price of a market in between means. Because a moving average is just a mean price over an extended period of time. So we just went from one average to another average, right? And really that was just a breakout of a 30-minute calculation to a 4-hour calculation. The type of calculations that computers focus on, you know? That's what a moving average is, right? It's just a calculation that can be programmed, right? So, and they just dictate uptrends and downtrends and then mean reversions, right? So if one goes into an uptrend, it's no longer about, it's like if we go into an uptrend here, but the next time frame calculation is still in a downtrend, you know what I mean? So anyways, you get the point. It's just moving price in between algorithm calculations and programs in a way. So that's why, if you bring up, I could bring up Netflix 1 second. I'm going to slide the chart, but so as we mentioned, the trade 8206 or so, 8206. All right. So this is what we're talking about, is that on Netflix today, it's popping over the level that could start an uptrend there, and then the top is 83.15. Far right there. So that is the 30-minute and the 4-hour. So this is the 30-minute algo level, if you will. And then this would be the 4-hour. And I call it an algo because algorithms read moving average calculations very regularly. 4-hour algo level. Right. So we just basically went from program. It's like a program to program, right? So, and if we zoom back out a little bit, what are you gonna see? Maybe I'll put it on I'll just keep it on the 1 minute, right? So what did you see this morning pre-market, right? So in the pre-market, what do? We rally the market to the algorithm level. At that time, it wasn't ready to break out, so it's still 30-minute structure down. And then today, Netflix came back, broke over it. So the 30-minute, at least in the short term for the moment, is starting to go positive, right? Which can lead to volatility or moves up, right? So the market goes up. The next level up is the 4-hour. But it's the same as the 30-minute. See back here, when the 30-minute wasn't broken out, it's still resistance, okay? So what did we just do? We broke out the 30-minute, but now took it to the 4-hour. The 4-hour is not broken out, so what is it? It's still resistance. So what happens? We go from the 30-minute breakout to the next downtrend above us. Now, the downtrend above us gets the opportunity to have resistance, in which it does. And as a result, it takes us back to where? The previous breakout, which is the previous 30-minute. So markets a lot of times really just move in between SMA calculations and other things, standard deviations and Fibonacci's, and there's a bunch of things that are going on. But again, the most important thing to remember is a lot of the market is controlled by computers and programs, right? And over time you'll start kind of recognizing those things, like I have. But that's it, right? So it's that. And when I say that's it, I mean I know that's a lot to take in, but I mean that's really just it. So. That's how today, when we talk about being long Netflix, right? It's not like I'm saying we're taking the biggest long in the world or it's the greatest thing. I'm just saying I can see, hey, we have a 30-minute breakout to 4-hour long. Because remember, and if you go back and you look in the stream, you'll hear me say, because that's just how the market is structured. That's just how the market is set up. It just is what it is, right? It just so happens that the 30-minute break to 4-hour level is just from the price of 82 to 83. That's what the market is offering, okay? Now, it could have broken out and it could have gone higher. I mean, sure, markets can always, but in general, if you could, essentially put a boundary or put a fence, right? A playing field into the market, that's what I was seeing. That's the playing field I saw, was from 82 to 83, right? That was the long, right? Because it just so happens that's how it was structured, right? So it's not like, earlier today we're talking about, oh, Netflix is the greatest play in the world, and oh, it's breaking over 30 minutes, it's going to be a lifesaver. It's like, no, I mean, yeah, we're going over the 30 minute. Next thing up, probably here 4 hour. That's the algorithm, that's the program, right? All right, so that's that. What else is going on? I still don't see any other stock in the big names that is breaking out. So, yeah. I would say, we do have similar trading stuff. Well, no, that's not entirely true. I mean, we look at still the same things. Our approaches are vastly different. I don't want to say vastly different, but they are different. But generally speaking, on any given day, me and Brandon will pretty much have a very similar analysis while still using different tools. He's a significantly better trader than I, but our analysis always points to the same thing most of the time. And now we still look at things, we have different, maybe a different target here or different, but generally speaking, the overall direction of the market between me and him and what we're thinking is cocky and as foolish as it sounds. I mean, it's almost always the same and relatively correct. So, and if you think about today, right, in the pre-market session, let's review. The market's in a neutral to bearish state. So we'll look at the market right now. It's down more, right? But we also mentioned that even though it's in a neutral to bearish state, it doesn't have to go down right away. Even though I thought it might kind of cliff dive this morning, it was still, if it doesn't, the counter target is going to be back to, right, the green box or wherever the volume weighted average price of our pre-market session was at which point then the market will have opportunity to create resistance again and then roll the market down, right? So he may have used Fibonacci to figure that out. I used volume weighted average price, some SMAs on different time frames, but it all points to the same thing, arguably, between me and him many times. But he's basically a Fibonacci king and arguably one of the better traders. Well, yeah, definitely one of the better traders I know personally. And then I don't think I've ever seen anyone with as much consistency, especially in the futures markets, as him. If futures is something you want to learn and Fibonacci kind of piques your interest, he's definitely the guy to speak to. Yeah. Yeah, so again, levels and direction are very similar. A couple different ways to get there. So yeah, that's that. So again, markets are down more. Everyone is so surprised here. I know. It's like, who would have thought the market was going to go down more when there's volatility breaking out and there's fear being expressed in the market and trends are negative? I mean, oh my goodness. What would have thought? That's crazy. So, we just got to sit back and just have a good time and just know the world will not end. And that actually, see, this is kind of one of those situations where we might actually now have a short on Netflix. So for those that are maybe interested, Netflix could turn into a short play here, arguably. because what we saw was basically a long back to the 30-minute, a breakout 4-hour rejection. If this 30-minute doesn't hold, in theory, we could arguably just be shifting Netflix back to negative. So that's kind of an interesting thought. I don't know exactly how I feel about it. Sometimes those work well, sometimes not. It's not like the most favorite setup, I guess. So, but maybe just watch it just to see if that all kind of unfolds. But anyways, let's go take a look at silver. Oh my gosh, silver down to 67. Like what? Who would have thought it was going to top around 109 bucks? That's weird. Standard deviation does not work. All right, I'm actually going to stop just making random jokes, and I'm going to start kind of looking back at some stocks. I probably missed some. Damn it, I knew it. Just being dumb. Well, not really, but see, it's funny. It's like you look and it's just like there's nothing, and they just happen so fast sometimes. What am I doing? Clearly not being smart. All right, so Netflix so far is holding the back test of $82. Nice. No. Could it be 4 hour and a 30? Absolutely spanked that one. What's going on with AIM, huh? No, I'm not about it. Not about it for the moment. Bitcoin is at 68,000. Cool. Silver is now down collectively $10 today. 11 bucks actually. Oh, I don't have that on the right time frame. Alrighty, folks. Is everyone ready? Because it's about to get crazy in here. Is everyone ready? Because I don't have anything. Nope. Not a whole lot from your buddy old pal over here. Oh yeah, we're definitely going to be seeing Bitcoin going down to the old 58K or Magoosh McGee. Yeah, but so far, but I want it to take a little longer. See, oh wait, we're already at 68K. Oh damn. But yeah, I mean we're gonna sell off down to 58,000. It's gonna happen. I'm not sure if it's going to go lower. I mean, my analysis right now really doesn't point to lower than 58,000. At least maybe not by much. But it definitely points to 58,000. Yeah, 58,000. It is the price target to the downside. But we're arguably trading ahead of schedule to the downside, in my opinion. Meaning, we have come down. We're not at 58,000 yet, but we've come down so fast that we're actually exceeding my timeline expectation. See, I wasn't thinking we were going to get down here this quick. So now my thoughts are maybe changing slightly, which is, Netflix. Hold on, I want to look at this real quick because Netflix is coming back down. It did a lower high, and now we're back below 81. So the question is does this turn into a nice breakdown here, or does it get held up? I'm not really sure, but it's something fun to watch. But yeah, so with Bitcoin, it's going to trade down to 58,000, but it's ahead of my schedule. All right. So now what that makes me think is that even if 58,000 was going to be a bottom or close to, that we really shouldn't be expecting that the market reverses back into a long bias market for a long time. So even if, let's just say 58,000 was the bottom of this move, and it was the bottom until the next bull market, it would be bottoming down here for a year plus. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I think about how quickly or ahead of schedule we are on this sell-off. So one's now making me think it's like, well, the velocity of the move down and the timing is faster than I'd expected. Does that mean we should go a little lower than 58,000 now because the time horizon before the next bull market, I would assume, starts is so far away? So there are some things that have changed a little bit, but we are still relatively on schedule, if you ask me. So, and then also, we also kind of assumed that there was going to be some sort of bear market correction, maybe even a recession starting in 2026. So are there some larger economic things going on behind, things for the economy going on behind the scenes that might play a factor in Bitcoin? I mean, that's something I really couldn't say or talk on, but it's a thought. So, nonetheless, Bitcoin is going to go down to 58,000 and arguably lower. My worst case scenario downside for Bitcoin, assuming it doesn't go to zero and that there is still business as usual, if you will. Worst case scenario, those that can control and can really just basically move the market how they please, I think would be willing to take Bitcoin as far to where, or down to here, which is somewhere, I'm not exactly sure, I kind of forget the dates, but I think this is all, like right around here is where all of the ETF approval stuff started happening, right? And legislation was starting to pass, and that was a super big catalyst moment. So, if the market on Bitcoin doesn't in fact bottom at about 58,050s, give or take, then I think they would in fact be trying to manipulate the market down to here and then rally it back, because this is all of that like legislation, legalization of a lot of that Bitcoin ETF stuff back in the day. Huge catalyst, a lot of volume. That's where banks were able to start custodian on behalf of customers. Now, I don't know if banks see, but that's the thing is people kind of don't really think about is that, the banks, I guess I don't know for sure, but one thing I do know for sure is that, if you buy the Bitcoin ETFs, it's really just you giving money to a bank to go then buy Bitcoin on your behalf because let's just say you didn't know how to. It's not the banks buying Bitcoin because they have, conviction that Bitcoin is going to work, right? So when you see articles of, oh, BlackRock sold Bitcoin or BlackRock bought this much Bitcoin for their ETF, generally that's just another way of them saying retail gave money to somebody else to purchase something for them and then hold it for them because of all of the reasons retail wanted to buy it in the first place, right? So, there might be discussion that the price point of Bitcoin down in that box, as I'm suggesting, is where all the ETF legislation took place. One could come up with, well, the banks don't want to let their positions go red. And so there is that essentially that's where a lot of that ETF legislation passed. And if there is big players, involving themselves into the crypto world, because of that and all of their orders and purchasing went through around that price, then generally speaking, that would be a heavy support area, right? Because if the big guys really got involved, then the last thing they want to do is see their stuff go red, so they probably would end up supporting it there. But that being said, I don't really know who that would be. But what I do know is that all of the purchasing of ETFs and stuff, that's really just retail giving banks money, and then they're just buying it on your behalf, right? So I know that that's where a lot of retail is at, So if I was someone trying to steal all their monies, I would take it down there. Maybe even lower than my anticipated target because of the fact that that's where everyone started maybe buying into the ETFs, right? So how do you wipe out all of the retail and just anyone that got involved is go to where they initially bought or could buy in the first place, and that's going to be all the way down there. So if I was an evil person, that's probably what I would do. So remember we talked about maybe a bear market for the market and just maybe a recession or something starting in 2026. So far, we're into February. The market hasn't really done anything. It's traded sideways and we're now even down, creating a relatively more looking bearish formation on a longer term time frame. Whether or not that plays out to any degree is your guess is as good as mine. But as I did mention before, I've positioned myself slightly more defensive going into 2026 on a lot of longer term accounts because, again, that's just the way I see it. So that's just how I'm moving my money. So I'm, again, leaned more defensive, leaning into 2026 for the foreseeable future in some things. Because I think we're not going to have the greatest year, or I think we might start, some serious pulling back and maybe even recession. I don't know. We'll see. Until I think that's changed, then I'm probably not going to change too much on those long-term portfolios. All right, that's pretty much that. I don't see anything new popping up on the scans. Maybe NIVF, maybe I missed that. While I was chatting, probably. Yeah, pretty much. Or wait, no? Hold up. Nah, I missed that. That just popped right into resistance. Yeah, so overall I've made a little bit of money today, so that's cool. Let's go check on DIVO. How are you doing? Better than the market. So DIVO, again, this is where I got a decent amount of capital right now because, again, it's a dividend income. It's basically an income kind of, I don't want to call it growth, but you can see right there. Amplify, CWV, enhanced dividend income ETF. So while I assume the markets are going to underperform, I'm just sitting collecting more dividend. And, reducing risk to the overall market in a way. And so, you can see over the past week up, right? And then you go look at the market, right? So that's pretty, so whether that continues, we'll see. But that gives you an idea of how I'm positioned visually. You can see the benefits, or of if I'm right, or if what I'm doing is correct for even some degree of the foreseeable future. You can get a clear visualization of how my portfolio is reacting to current market circumstances. So if we again go back to DIVO, this is how DIVO has performed over like the last, I don't know, was that February? Yeah, like last week or so, while your market has performed like that, right? So my assumption is if we have underperformance for 2026 or lower performance, a sideways market, a sideways down market, a steep down market, that my portfolio is essentially going to beat, or it's going to beat the market. If that all happens, for sure, guaranteed. If the market trades sideways down, or even slow up, I'll probably outpace the market this year. And again, it's really, the objective is just to be slightly more defensive leading into 2026 and on for the moment. And so we'll see. Don't know. Bitcoin now down to 67,000. I mean, who would have thought it was going to go down? Like, am I right, guys? Come on, like, this is crazy. Like, what? Why is it happening like that? Oh, I'm tired. Oh, I'm supposed to return a floor today, and I really don't want to, because I just don't want to load up my truck with a bunch of floors, and it's cold out. It's freaking like 7 degrees. I don't even know why I live in Michigan anymore. I could have moved many lifetimes ago, and yet I'm still here as being dumb. Yeah, it's only because family lives here, but I know. I should have just tell the flooring guy to do it, but But yeah. Good morning, Mr. Yeah, I can't say that, but I don't know how to say your name. But I'm just gonna call you the pup. I like that. What's going on, pup? Since you just hopped in, we're gonna give you the breakdown. So pretty much expect Bitcoin to go into 68,000. Gold and silver markets have topped. Your stock market, at least the S&P 500, QQQ, American markets, United States markets, they're all currently in selling operations to the downside. They're not currently in swing long operations. When that changes is, well, when the system says. So really just to get you up to speed, just know that, again, Bitcoin's going to sell down to at least 58,000 here relatively soon. Again, gold and silver markets topped, and stock markets are in bearish markets. Yeah, and then I guess hopefully we'll see you back tomorrow, and then the days to come. Then yeah, and maybe the other thing is there was a penny stock AIM today. We did a trade on that. That's pretty much it. What else? We took a trade on Netflix. So if I were to get you caught up to speed about what we did on today's stream, we basically were on early this morning, took longs on the stock AIM at the time of 8. I think it was at 8:48. I think it was 8:48 in the morning. Let's see. What are the chances Bitcoin would go to 40s? It's funny you say that because we were just discussing that. And the reason that we would think Bitcoin would maybe go to 40s is because right in the 40s areas, maybe even the 35s, I kind of forget because it's been so long, but it's pretty much in that area. That's when all the legislation stuff passed for Bitcoin, and we talked about like the introduction of Bitcoin ETFs coming to the market. So that's an area where a lot of retail investors that were not involving themselves in crypto got involved through the avenues of ETFs. And a lot of the people that use ETFs for purchasing Bitcoin, obviously, I want to say they're not as savvy. Some not as savvy, don't want to deal with the digital side of it. Or the older generations that are just very used to using their Charles Schwab or Fidelity investment accounts, E-Trade accounts, that don't want to buy Bitcoin but want to have access to price action, so they got involved in the ETF. So I just know, based off of how people and population groups and just the narrative around that would be, ETFs became available back around the price of 40 to 30,000. Anyone that wanted to buy ETFs could, which would be a lot of the larger generation or older generation, older population. And then you have anyone in any other generation that is just not comfortable buying Bitcoin on Coinbase or holding it themselves, whatever the reason may be, extra money in their accounts, bought ETFs. So that's a huge retail zone or retail involvement zone. Just based on that alone. So when you know that information, you know, it's not hard to build an idea in your head where it's like, well, if I was, again, some evil bastard that controlled how crypto moved, then I would just already know that if I could literally get the price down to there, that I would wash all of the weak hands of every account that bought any ETFs around that price and that date and time, essentially. So yeah, if my objective was basically to screw a bunch of people over, that's the price I would go to, for sure. So, yeah. That being said, I have already started kind of buying a little more as we're dropping. I'm not buying a lot, but my dollar cost average amounts for Bitcoin have increased. So what I used to be buying is, what I'm buying now is more than what I was buying previously, because now prices are going down and they're getting closer to my targets. So my dollar cost average value has gone up. I've been increasing that. And I haven't been doing big lump sum buys, but that will be coming very soon. And I would be buying that all the way into the 40s. And if we're wrong, then I guess, you know, me, you, and Michael Saylor and a bunch of people just are all going to be poor anyway. So with that being said, we still got some ways to go down on Bitcoin, but when we get there, we'll get there. Yeah, so there's that. Market's down more. Bitcoin's now to $66,000. I mean, shoot, man. Who? I could have swore there was some dude on the internet, and he was telling me Bitcoin was going to go to 58,000. And he was telling me this like 3 years ago. I don't remember what his channel is or if he even streams anymore, but there was a guy at one time. Really goofy guy. I mean, honestly, probably why I didn't listen. You know. All right. Oh yeah. So looking over, Netflix did basically turn back into a short at the price of that like 82 again. It's now down about 50 cents. So I don't have a short on that, but I will kind of walk through it and we'll talk a bit on it, and I'll show you a strategy that probably is working. So right here, right? So this is, on Netflix, this was the long we had earlier to here, and that was the recommended basically like target of the long, and then suggested that we would then probably pull the market back to here. And then if we break down this, then a new downtrend starts. So now what you can do is you can anchor a volume weighted average price to the break of that right there. And essentially, as long as the market maintains below those 1 minute VWAPs, you kind of have that immediate momentum to the downside still in your favor, and the potential for lower highs to take place into and below these volume weighted average prices. So we're going to run two. We're going to run an open, high, low, close, and then we're going to run just a high one. like that. And I think I'm going to take one on the top here too. I like that. So that's pretty much the current 1 minute resistance downtrend for Bitcoin. So, yeah, I mean, the way you think of that is market went into a 30-minute up move to the 4-hour, then bearish back to the 30-minute. 30-minute could not hold trend support. Market maker structures flipping back down in the immediate, and anything into those VWAPs is resistance down. If at any point we get above, we may then consider that the long would push back too. But right now, that's not the case. So we're downsided on Netflix. That's the short play that we talked about however long ago. Granted, I didn't know if it was going to come to fruition for sure, but one could assume that that play may have been on the horizon. One, with the way the market's performing, the markets are continuing down. So obviously Netflix going up today was kind of odd, right? Going against the trend of the overall market. But clearly that market wanted to get rejected at the 4-hour, flip back into a downtrend and whatever, so. No, I don't know who that guy is. That is not me. I mean, we may look similar, but not me. Also, I want to bring up AIM, right? So if we bring up AIM real quick, and I know no one's going to really, congratulate us, but, remember what we said earlier with AIM? Remember we said, hey guys, we're going to get long AIM here because that's where the breakout's happening and that's where the uptrend can be starting. And it went up like some 60% from entry. That's great, right? And then what did we say? We said, well, we'll hold some. And now the hope is that it just keeps going. But if it doesn't, what's going to happen? It's going to sell off all the way back to here. So now what you have just seen, is you've seen basically a complete cycle on a penny stock, what you may consider a pump and dump, right? That pump and dump, that P&D, was really AIM entering an uptrend today, early in the pre-market, going through a 60-70% appreciation, right? So if you bought that and rode it all the way up, similar to the way I did, but I didn't buy it with a ton of shares, but just in general, you essentially got a 68% appreciation on your business, right? Because again, if you buy a stock, you become part owner, right? So by buying today into this company, I became part owner and got part of a 68% appreciation on the company. And then afterwards, the company lost all that appreciation back down to where the uptrend started. So we literally just saw the full cycle of an uptrend, pump up, take profit, sell back off to the uptrend start. All right? It's all that really happened with that stock today. It's all said and done, really. Short on Netflix working out pretty well. Short started there at 82s. Now it's down to about 81. So almost $1 down. I mean, it's not great, but well, then again, Netflix also just did their reverse split or whatever, whenever that was. So much cheaper now these days. But alrighty. Oh snap! I totally forgot I was supposed to go meet someone. But I don't need to anymore, so I'm going to message them and be like, yo, by the way. Alrighty. Some old retired trader from the board. That's the guy. That's the guy. Oh man. Sorry, literally one of my friends is texting me about Bitcoin right now. It's funny, actually, if I go to my text log with him, he goes, on Thursday, November 13th, my friend, Zach, texts me, is today a good day to buy some more Bitcoin? I saw it drop below 100,000. First text, I'm waiting until 2027 and 50K or 55K for the big ads. Other than that, just dollar cost average. Let it go down more. If I'm correct, which I have been this far, it means the price will go to about 50K. And we will see Bitcoin underperformed until the beginning of 2027, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that was November 13th. And now we are into, what is it? February? Yeah, now it's February 5th. Bitcoin below 70K. Good time to buy another big chunk. So it's not just you that reach out. But anyways, so yeah, we still got Bitcoin going slower. All right. Yep, still no major players right now that were interested to take longs on because they're not triggering uptrends. Why is that like that? Damn. Missed another one. Shoot. You know what? I want to show you guys ULY. This is another great example, right? So, I don't want to say like, oh, it's a ton or it's the best trade, but just watch, right? Just think about what I'm showing you in terms of algorithms. Ready? So look at this, right? This, what I'm showing you right now, should be undeniable proof that what we're showing you is something that is like on the right path and it's good to use. Ready? So let's look at this random stock, ULY, right? Let's zoom in. Where is the 50 SMA? Right here. Where is it priced at? Right there at the price of 226. Okay, so let's overlap 226 and it arguably gets up to the price of like 227 there. So we're just going to set it about 227. All right, so now we've added the price point, 227. Let's go look at the price here real quick. Let's zoom in. I'm going to go full screen on this one, but let's look at the price here. So this stock ULY, the 50 SMA is priced here at 226. Ready? So what happens? The market today bounces back up, hits 226, has some resistance, then it creeps over, pushes up, back test on a 1 minute time frame, trades sideways, and then look at all the volume that comes in right there. So this thing's just dead, enters into a 30-minute uptrend, and then bang, volume. Is it random? No, it's because it's the algorithmic shift level, right? Market maker structure changing, right? That's what's going on there. You think there was just a bunch of well, there are some retail like me that pay attention to that, but most don't, right? So we know that a lot of that volume is not retail volume, right? That's either going to be like market maker volume, like people that really kind of move things, I guess you could say. But again, it's not like retail just came and was like, yep, 100,000 shares, boom, let's go, right? Maybe, but that right there, I mean, you can visually see it. It's clear as day, right? I mean, let's just bring this back down once more. Again, go to this chart. Look at, where's the 30 minute? 30 minutes, that red line, right? Right there, 226. And sure enough, you get over it, market's getting interesting, possibly, and then pow, you know, market basically goes up. What is that return there? So that's a 16% return to that high, right? And it arguably is going to go higher here, maybe because I'm talking about it, so some of you guys are probably buying it. But again, remember, we don't talk about stocks to make them go up. We just put you guys in the right playing field where you want your eyes to be and focusing on the right things. So now we're up 20%, 21%, right? All from a stock that no one was thinking about, no one's paying attention to. And that, again, that's generally where you want to be looking. You want to be looking where you don't want to be looking at something that's blown up 100%, 30. You're usually looking for something that's up 10, 15%, right? Like right here, right? This thing went up about 10, 15% right before it got to its breakout level, right? And then it broke out, and now we're going up. Now we're up 20%, right? But anyways, so that's another cool one that I wanted to talk about. It's not that it looks amazing and not that it's great, not that it can't become the best performer ever. I'm just saying in general, you can visually see the volume on this random, what is today, Thursday? Just a random Thursday, random stock gets over the level you always focus on and wham, volume, right? So, you know, a lot of times you'll hear about stocks and penny stocks and just stocks in general, right? You look for the volume spikes, and, you know, stocks got to have volume and a stock's got to be spiking, right? So now it's less of you thinking, oh, it's got to have volume. Now it's, you know, the exact level you're looking for, and now you know that's where volume gets triggered, right? So now it's about focusing on the level, and then if the volume matches the level and then the break, and now you can go, oh shit, algorithms are here, right? So there's definitely something algorithmically taking place here, because obviously the volume pump right at that level. How long it lasts, we'll see, but it's always something that piques my interest is when we get tons of volume at a said level. Now, again, that's already been a 20% return from that break, and even this back test, right? This would be the back test of that breakout a little bit. That back test was 15%, right? So when you think in terms of algorithms or returns, I mean, that's a great return on a play. It may not look amazing, but just that alone is 15%. What do I think about Hood? Don't know, but I need to keep looking at some stuff. Yes. Kind of late, but it doesn't look terrible. Hood. Yeah, I'll take a look. I mean, damn, Hood's getting rocked. Yeah, I probably wouldn't consider that a good long-term buy right now. I mean, I guess long-term is relative. Again, I don't know. I mean, long-term all depends on like looking at company fundamentals, and which I don't really do, though. That is something I always kind of said I would eventually do. But yeah, I mean, it's not in a long-term uptrend, right? So long-term selling and long-term buying. Well, long-term selling is taking place, but yeah. So it's just not in an uptrend. That is, pretty much any time a stock breaks below its weekly 50 SMA. I mean, you're not going to get big long-term trending market. It's got to be over its long-term weekly 50 SMA, and generally you'll see more appreciation. But for now, it's not even doing that. So yeah, it's a little dangerous. You could have oversold bouncing, but that's far from long-term trending. Now, and that's another thing too, if you think about long-term investment, yeah, if you're cool taking losses for a while, but if you're trying to kind of time maybe a longer-term trend, you might look for something around that daily and weekly 50 SMA recovery at least, or minimum for those trends to catch up. Well, the market has definitely slowed a little bit here. So, yeah, there's that. Da 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 da. It's good stuff. Bless him, bless her. Oh, Netflix. Oh, snap. This was a Thursday, so this was the start of the Phoenix Open, but probably, it's a little early. It's probably not started yet. Oh, yeah. Let's go, baby. Okay. Yeah, so pretty much so far we don't have a whole lot more to say here, folks. Oh wait, what did I? That's weird. Can't deny it working. Yeah. Working though. Working though. That's just good. Okay. You know, something that actually looks pretty good is the stock FEED. It's kind of got a look to it. I don't know. It's debatable. I'm wondering if this thing is going to end up kind of going through like another breakout and running back up into like 4s, maybe even 5s. That's possible. It's not perfect, but it's got an interesting look. So I'm going to keep tabs on that one. Let's see. I mean, shoot, you got another one right there. Yeah, sorry, just over here using my brain. Not really saying a whole lot, but you know. I see. Market, SPY is still kind of just rolling down, so really not a whole lot to say there other than markets are down, so they're going to remain down until pretty much they go into a buy move. When's that going to be? That will be when the market enters an uptrend. Yeah, FEED is kind of it's a play where it's got like an inverse cup and handle, like an inverse head and shoulders, and if it ends up breaking up, it's going to shoot up into probably like 4 or 5. Obviously, right now, if it fails, it's end up gonna move all the way back down to 290. So. I mean, I guess. Yeah, but if FED does what it's hopefully supposed to do over the next couple of days, again, you'll see a breakout on that up into like the 4s, 5s. And if it doesn't, then we're ultimately going to be doing what? Going back to the 50 as a man the 30, which right now is priced at 292. Anyways. Yeah, I think probably call it there for the day. I think that was another good day. We hit that really nice trade there on AIM. I mean, small little correct trade on Netflix. Predicted that the market was probably going to be bearish today. It was in fact bearish. Also predicted the counter trend target for the S&P 500 going into the open and where that would go to, and then the resistance top. That was correct. So it's another beautiful day of essentially accurate predictions. So you can't complain, right? So we'll basically just say cheers, catch you tomorrow. Bye.